Today we're going to be talking about Logan Paul's podcast, Impulsive. There's two other people that are on that podcast, Mike and George Drinko. And the longest that's been on there is Mike, and the second longest is George Drinko. Now, what happened was with this beef is there's a guy named Bobby Lee. But what happened was allegedly George Drinko got sexually assaulted on the podcast by Bobby Lee. As in, Bobby Lee was touching his private parts, which is honestly so disgusting. Don't really know what's going to go on in that situation, but it gets even worse is Mike and Logan Paul don't do anything to help George Drinko. As in, nothing. They make it worse. So what happens is Logan Paul is mad at George Drinko because George Drinko walks off Impulsive, and it gets worse. Logan Paul is threatening to fire George Drinko because he was mad that he was getting sexually assaulted. Plus, George Drinko was getting another brand for his podcast called Celsius. Brought it up to Logan saying, hey, I got a deal brand from Celsius. And Logan Paul did not like that whatsoever. He was like this: if you take the deal, you're off Impulsive. That's how it is. Which, I mean, it's his podcast. He can do what he wants. But just because another brand wants to George Drinko that you don't like because you have your own brand, which is Prime, you're going to kick him off? That's scummy. And number one, now, Logan Paul is one of the most scummiest people out there. He has scammed his fans. He's scammed crypto. He laughed at a dead Chinese person, China, in the woods. That is even worse. That's one of the most worst things. He is one of the most stupidest and retarded and just not a good person in general. I'm just going to say it in general. Both of these guys are destroying their images because, I mean, George Drinko is not all the way in the right either. There are some things that he said that wasn't totally true that I have seen for myself looking at all the evidence. And then also Logan Paul's over there just being a bad friend, and he's already ruined his image. I mean, the only reason he has fans is because they're all little kids and he wrestles. If he didn't wrestle and there was no little kids on his page, he wouldn't be making money at all. He wouldn't have open Prime, nothing, because he is just a pathetic person. And you know how little kids are. They're impressionable little kids, and they don't know better not to watch somebody because they don't look at like this kind of content unless they're grown up enough to. They did see it. There's a half the time they're either going to be backing him up because they don't know better and understand and be like, hey, he is a bad person. But that's beside the point. So if you guys want to see me probably have a heart attack, maybe eat something so bad that it literally makes me jump off a cliff or through a window or off a balcony, let me know in the comments. Comment down below what most disgusting meal you can think that I can eat possible at 900 subs. Comment down below.
This is where we probably have to get into the material. Like that was
Bobby Lee situation.
No, hold on. We can talk about those. Okay, you can I'll listen and said, yeah.
Okay, the Bobby Lee situation.
Who was the first person that jumped off the couch and said George just left? That was not good. We have to fix the situation.
But did they not cut shit that you should have stood up for me and said, hey, you can't cut that shit. That's gonna make him look like an idiot for leaving.
Okay, let's slow down and I'll answer that. We have always cut. This is all healthy, by the way. We have always cut.
Start crying.
No. Which by the way would be healthy. We have numerous times on the show, which I'm sure a number of shows do, cut things that we believe will protect the integrity or reputation of the guest.
That protected nobody but him.
No, of the guest. That's what I'm trying.
Well, what about the guy that you break bread with, bro?
But we removed a number of things that you said on the podcast.
Name one.
Well, no, I'm not going to.
Booty, bro.
No. Do you want me to? There was something that you said on the laser beam episode.
What laser beam episode?
Do you remember laser beam in Australia?
What
I did that episode? I'd rather not say. I can tell. Why don't I just tell you?
Just tell me. I'll beep it.
You said something about like laughing at a girl getting hit in like a parking lot. You saw like a fight.
Yeah, I just said the joke wrong.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I didn't sexually harass somebody, man.
So they literally cut out the parts that Bobby Lee doing all this. This is insane. If Bobby Lee is actually doing all this, what the fuck is wrong with people? Like on a podcast, sexually assaulting another co-host.
Okay, Mike, if this was an episode that was you, and what happened to you, and then the whole world thinks that I walked away because I can't take a joke, that's fucked, bro.
Well,
That's fucked.
It parlayed into more stuff happening down the line. Like, it just became, at that point, you saw me, I went on Bobby's show.
Yeah.
Right?
And they cut around it. You said that
I have no control over that.
I try to make peace with this guy.
I know.
You've seen me.
Yeah.
I've tried to make peace with him behind closed doors. I try to reach out. I try to be cool. But by the way, and I'll just say this, we'll just empty it out. I never had a problem with Bobby Lee.
No, he knows
I had a problem with the way that Logan and you were kind of gassing him to keep doing. He started the episode putting his balls in my face. I let that one go. Then every 2 seconds, he kept grabbing my dick.
I don't think...
How would you feel if a man that has his back completely towards you, that only turns around to grab your dick,
right,
talk shit to your face, and you can't smack or beat the living brakes off of this guy? Because Logan makes me apologize to this man, or I don't have a job on Impulsive anymore.
So they literally cut out the freaking part where he was doing all that with the balls in the face and touching the groin just to make Bobby Lee better and make George Drinko look like a complete asshole and stupid. That is not right. What is wrong with people on YouTube that are just fucking over their friends and letting other people sexually assault them and literally gratifying when he's doing it? Like, apparently they were trying to encourage him to keep on doing that. That is fucked. And the only reason they're doing it is to stay on good terms with Bobby Lee, which is even fucking, it's like dick riding of the century. Now, Mike is a big dick rider. He's always riding Logan Paul's slong just to keep money and stay on YouTube for as long as he can, keep his fame. And that's the only reason Mike is literally with Logan Paul, I bet, is because of the fame.
How crazy is that?
I don't think I understood. I can only speak for myself.
Bro, it's not a group chat.
I hope you can understand.
It's not a group chat.
No. I'm talking about during the episode because I didn't know that you were feeling.
But after the episode, do you remember when you called me and I said, Mike, this is all that happens, and you said verbatim, you said, it's our fault for not telling you this, but me and Logan are really the ones who should be talking to the guests. You are really there for a boys only episode. So while I get sexually harassed, my other co-host is trying to fire me, and you're trying to leverage me to be quiet during other guests. And then on my birthday, you guys shot 3 episodes, so I couldn't show up.
I just think
on my 30th birthday, you shot 3 episodes.
I think
that's crazy. It was on the calendar for months.
I think by the time we got there was so much like confusion and disarray in the podcast that there was no coming back. We got to a point. No. First of all, I didn't say it was your fault.
If you guys don't know who Bobby Lee is, he is a very big comedian and he has a show called Tiger Host. If they're trying to protect his image or whatever, it's already down the drain, guys. Like, Bobby Lee might be very popular. I never really liked the dude besides a couple of his comedy. This is actually true. I don't want any part of him, and I don't think you guys should either, but it's up to you. It's all your guys' choices. You guys can, whoever I talk about, it's your choice on what you think about them and what you prefer to do.
Do you know what the last straw for me was? The last straw for me was, Mike, I had to escape. I had to leave for my own fear. When Logan came after me for my religion, the show hit rock bottom and we weren't getting paid. I was getting paid $5,000 a month, and that's covering just Reed. I have a mortgage. I have my sister that works for me. I have Belle. I'm trying to get married. I had all these things. So I had to start my own show because we're not making money on this show and I'm getting pushed out of this show.
Well, at the time we weren't making money. You made money on the show.
But at the time, we're a couple months.
How much money did you make over the course?
I can show you my books. I was spending 10 G's a month being on the show.
Right.
Name me a job that you're a part of that you spend $10,000 to do. Okay, so that's 1. 2, and by the way, let's not forget that for a year and a half, I didn't get paid.
No, and I didn't get paid for years.
Okay.
So George Drinko is upset because on his birthday, they had 3 podcasts that were created while he was at his birthday. And he was mad because he wasn't able to go there. He wasn't there because of his birthday. He wanted to spend time with his family. And yeah, that's pretty fucked up because he is a co-host. Said he was and for a long time. And they just treated him like dirt and just did 2 podcasts or 3 podcasts when he at a birthday party. I mean, If he's a co-host, doesn't he have to be there? I really don't know how this podcast scene works, but if there's somebody as a co-host, they have to be there.
But you did make a sizable amount of money on the show.
And by the way, always grateful. I was always grateful.
Something like that?
I don't like to talk about money, but I was always grateful. Always grateful. I think anybody could see that. But when I got pushed out, and I'm seeing that I'm getting pushed out, and I start my own show, do you know what my final straw was?
What?
I got my show going, and then not only was I controlled and pushed around on Impulsive, but then Logan's making calls and directing my show. And I'm saying, hey man, you can't tell me what to do on my own show. That's not okay.
What's that about?
He told me that I couldn't take Celsius. And then I said, hey,
he didn't tell you that you couldn't take Celsius. No, he didn't tell you that you couldn't take Celsius. He says,
if I take Celsius, I'm not a part of Impulsive.
Then he told you that if you take Celsius, that you cannot continue to be on Impulsive, which is the core driver for Prime, as you're going to continue to funnel viewership from the Impulsive show back to your show, which promotes a competitive product. Yeah. He also told you that if you wait 6 months after the deal's done, you're more than welcome to rejoin the show if you need to make money.
So what Mike actually says there is pretty accurate. He's letting him come back, but if he takes Celsius, he can't be on the podcast until he stops taking Celsius and wants to come back. Which, I mean, I get that is accurate. I mean, Logan doesn't want his brand getting mixed with a competitor's brand, which I totally understand.
Find a way to push me out.
I don't.
You know what he told me? When I told you know what I told him?
I think that was
this is a guy who's sending us screenshots of $11 million a week that he's making. Okay, and on top of that, we never got any money from Prime, and we own that show. So technically, we should have gotten a percentage of that. I never asked for it like the way you did. I stayed the out of it. I didn't care because I'm grateful for what I'm making. I'm gonna go start my own business. But when I come over here, because I'm scared I'm gonna lose my job here, and then you're saying no, I sent them out.
Not you're saying no. That's what. That once again, please, bro.
But let me
please, because that's one thing.
Wait, are you saying you?
Yes.
No, I'm not saying you.
Because it's one thing. It's one thing. Like with all of this, bro. With all of this, that you have to understand. He wasn't the only one that took hits for how the relationship ended with you. I got the same brunt, bro. I got the same brunt.
Okay, I got question.
And I only ever spoke highly.
Can I speak for a second, please?
Well, yeah, I mean.
So when I get that call and I tell him, I go, Logan, I get it, bro. And I fully told him, I go, listen, man, like, I will take half the deal that Celsius gives me. Half. If you want to put it on the table for my show, a quarter. Work with me. He says, I won't pay you a dime. You're here because of me.
So Logan says you're here because of me. That is pretty like scummy word to say to a friend. As a friend, you shouldn't say that to a friend. And George Drinko wanted to become a partner with Celsius. And I get that. But also we have to get Logan Paul's perspective. Can't be part of this in a different brand that's a competitor. And I get that. But Logan Paul doesn't have to go far saying, oh, you're only here because of me. That's pretty mean and fucked up to say. Which it's partly true and partly not. Now it's not true at all anymore because George Drinko has his own like podcast and is doing very well for himself. So now we're going to take a look at Logan Paul's response, which now has been deleted off TikTok. Take a look at it.
We're not making money on this show, and I'm getting pushed out.
You made money on the show.
I can show you my books. I was spending 10 G's a month being on the show.
All right, let's talk about this. Obviously, I wasn't on the podcast to represent myself, so I'd like to clarify a few things that were said. As well as having his own credit card, all expenses related to the show were paid for, including all travel and lodging. Obviously, George's total reimbursement came out to $20,000, 317 cents. I'd love to see any books that show otherwise. Spending $120,000 a year to be on a show is a little confusing.
So that is a direct counter to one of George Drinko's comments. So George Drinko's actually gonna have to respond to this before I take my take.
There's screenshots of $11 million a week that he's making.
That statement is so crazy that it's almost laughable. That would mean I'm making $572 million a year. I'm nowhere near that. What happened was Prime had a very successful month. I think we did like 60 to 70 million, and I sent it to our group chat because I was proud of the business. I was stoked to show the boys, and I think George maybe misinterpreted that as like my personal income.
The show hit rock bottom, and we weren't getting paid. I was getting paid $5,000 a month.
But you did make a sizable amount of money on the show.
And by the way, always grateful. I was always grateful.
Something like that?
Yeah, I don't like to talk about money.
I know he doesn't want to talk money. I know he believes it out, but George made $317,000 in the 15 months that he got paid for on Impulsive. The work requirements consisted of about 3 days a month, 3 hours each day, traveling the world, networking, and meeting some of the coolest people ever. It comes out to about $2,300 per hour, and he also had 10% equity of the entire show.
So honestly, that is a very, very good deal that if he's making $317,000 every, like, what was it, 3 months? Like, holy shit. If I was making that, bro, I would stay in that. I would be like happy as shit. But again, he did get sexual assaulted, allegedly. So, I mean, hey, yeah, I get why he left.
Not you, not Caleb, not Kevin, not Dylan. Nobody fucking called me when I got fired.
George did not get fired. He quit. I'll touch on that in a second. But after he quit, I called him frequently. I reached out. I wanted to reconcile the friendship. I invited him to my birthday party and WrestleMania and even my ranch a few weeks later. He chose not to come. He also unfollowed all the people he mentioned on Instagram, which is maybe why they didn't call him. I don't know. I can't speak for them, but he still does not follow them to this day.
And then on my birthday, you guys shot 3 episodes, so I couldn't show up.
The 2 episodes he's talking about, not 3, were shot 4 days after George's birthday. His birthday's on January 3rd. We shot those episodes on January 7th. We were already in Vegas signing the UFC to Prime, and as we do, want to capitalize on the location and our use of time and energy and the guests in that city. George didn't come to work because he wanted to spend time with his family for his belated birthday, which I totally understand and we even praised.
One of the things that I love about George, he prioritizes his family and friends over anything.
So if that's actually true, George actually misunderstood a lot of the key details on here. That is a big detail. So my big question is to understand is Logan Paul gonna like talk about the sexual assault and the religion? That's what I'm really wondering.
Going, and then not only was I controlled and pushed around on Impulsive, but then Logan's making calls and directing my show. He told me that I couldn't take Celsius.
So this is the big one. Making calls, trying to make it seem like I wanted to control his show is absolutely ridiculous. As you can see right here, I was like, hey, we got to get you Prime because I saw him drinking our competitor, and he told me to call him. He was filming my reaction to tell me he took a deal with the competitor. I told him, please don't film. Like, I'd like to talk about this. I hope you're joking, by the way. The truth is, I thought it was a bad look that my best friend and co-host took a brand deal with our competitor without consulting me, asking me, giving us even a chance to match it before he signed the deal, because the audience that he's building, at least at the time, on his own podcast was being funneled directly from the podcast that I was building with him. I said, hey dude, I understand you need to make money. The entire text is right here that I sent him after our conversation, because I did understand his position if he needed to make money, but I thought it was also a little odd because he did make $317,000 in 15 months. Regardless, I did tell him I can't have him on Impulsive if he's going to take the deal with the competitor, but if after he makes the money he wants to come back to the podcast.
So that is kind of reasonable, and yes, I did say 3 months. It was actually 17 months. Don't roast me in the comments. But I'm really wondering what actually is going to happen. Like, I want to hear George's take on this, because it's like he's not telling the truth or something. I don't understand what's going on. I'm not going to say either of them are lying or telling the truth. This is just my opinion. I think George needs to come up and make a comment about this. So that's really going to be the end of the video. If you guys did enjoy, my name is Mattict, as in Matt. And it's been a longer video today. It's been about maybe a 19-minute video. And let me know in the comments if you want me to do more videos like this. I will if you want me to. Yeah, that's about it. See you guys later.